I thought maybe we've consumed enough copium ourselves. Maybe we could watch other people do it. Trump campaign reacts to Biden's 16-point lead in recent poll. This is, I think it was a CNN poll. It was a recent poll, and it put Biden at a 16-point lead. I don't normally pay attention to individual polls. I prefer to look at averages. But for a 16-point lead, even as an outlier, that is fucking insane. That is insane. Please join me. I haven't watched this. I assume it's going to be funny.
President Trump is back at the White House this morning and promising to get back on the campaign trail soon. With just 28 days to go until Election Day, new polls show a widening gap between him and Joe Biden. Let's bring in Trump 2020 campaign National Press Secretary Hogan Gidley. Hogan, good morning to you. Welcome back. Let me get the poll out of the way because this is out there. This is the new CNN poll. After that first debate, it does show Joe Biden with a commanding lead now, 57% to President Trump's 41%. Coronavirus handling has been a central issue for the Biden campaign. How does the messaging on the part of the Trump campaign change, or does it, you tell me, after the president has been infected with it?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, I'm not really going to listen to polls from CNN. They don't have the best, most stellar reputation for being real news.
All right, copium step one. First of all, I'm not gonna. That poll's fake. That's not real. So. Right off the bat, like nothing, not leading into it or anything, like step one, how do we cope with this information? We just complete denial, just stage one.
And we can always talk about flawed methodology. I don't want to get into that.
I'm sure you do. Yeah, it's fake news because of the methodology. The methodology isn't good. I don't want to get into that though. It's very complicated. It's very true. It's very real.
The same pollsters, though, that had the president down and out in 2016. He fought back. He won the race then. He's doing the same thing right now. This president.
So, again, that's not how polling works. If polls show a lead for one candidate, but then the other candidate wins, that doesn't mean the polls were wrong. That's just how math can work. I feel like the 2016 really did break people's brains with regards to probability. Like, the polls really did say, like, it was a 3/4 to 1/4, 2/3 to 1/3 chance, and everyone like lost their mind. Like, the polls don't matter. The polls are fake. All the information is fake. Yeah.
Has great numbers via our internal polls, enough to win and retain the White House. And so we're looking.
Wait. Well, I don't listen to those CNN polls. Now, our secret insider polls actually have the president up 50 points. What?
Then he's doing the same thing right now. This president has great numbers via our internal polls, enough to win.
Okay,
and retain
I had
the
to hear
White
it again.
House. And so we're looking forward to him getting back on the trail when the doctors say it's physically feasible for him to do so. He's ready now, and if he had his druthers, I don't know he'd ever gotten off the trail. But he wants people to be safe.
Yeah, by internal poll, he means he asked around the office. I went to the water cooler, and I asked 5 people who work here, and almost all of them were going to vote for Trump. So I think he's got a pretty good shot.
And he wants people to take this very seriously, but at the same time, he wants them to be able to exercise their First Amendment rights to assemble, especially when it relates to preparing to vote in this upcoming election.
And by the way, the only reason I say get this out of the way.
Wait, what? Wait, who's trying to prevent people from voting in person? Has anyone said you shouldn't be voting in person? I mean, you should probably vote by mail is probably the safest way with regards to COVID. Also, the First Amendment doesn't deal with voting. What?
As I do know that you on this program frequently do dismiss.
Oh, he's talking about the poll watchers. People's First Amendment right to engage in electoral interference, which is illegal. There we go.
The polls, but 28 days to go, you have to look at them and you have to look at what they're reflecting as far as sentiment of the people and where the direction that they're going heading into Election Day. Of course, noting that anything can change. 28 days is a long time still. But when you look at the question I just asked you, the coronavirus messaging, your campaign came on this program yesterday morning, Erin Perini. She somehow is now launching a new line of attack on Joe Biden, it appeared. You listened to it. Somehow that the president is best suited to lead us through this because he's now had the virus, and Joe Biden can't because he hasn't been infected with it. Watch this.
What?
He has experience as commander-in-chief. He has experience as a businessman. He has experience now fighting the coronavirus as an individual. Those firsthand experiences, Joe Biden, he doesn't have those. He doesn't know what.
What the American people needed in these trying times, what they're really looking for is a president who has the plague. That's what they were really looking. Dude, when Pope Saint Benedict the 17th caught the Black Death and nearly died after one of his eyebrows burst forth into a giant boil and then fell down his face. That really resonated with the papal court. What are we talking about right now? His experience with COVID? What are we talking about? His fucking experience with COVID. I don't like what he's developed some sort of newfound empathy. I have no fucking idea, but this is very, very funny.
What it's like to create a job other than hunters. Joe Biden doesn't know what it's like to have to
Yeah, you guys like my history knowledge? Yeah, you know what's up.
Stand up and serve as commander-in-chief of this country.
Is that a planned strategy on the part of the campaign to now attack Biden because he hasn't had the virus?
Do it.
That's obviously not what Aaron was talking about.
No, come on,
Aaron was discussing clearly that the president has leadership capabilities that Joe Biden just doesn't have.
Because he got COVID? That's what she was saying. She was saying that he has leadership capabilities because he was stupid and he caught the plague. Because he spent the whole fucking year downplaying it, not wearing masks, licking doorknobs, letting other Republicans rub their greasy hands and cock and balls all over his face. And now he finally caught the plague. You know, finally. It finally happened. Which is terrible, Mr. President. And this is an indication of his superior leadership abilities?
In just 47 months, Donald Trump has done more to improve the lives of the American people than Joe Biden in 47 years.
I really like this talking point as if implying the impact of a president is comparable to the impact of a senator and of a vice president. Also, we're right now in a recession with 1/5 people dead, and our economy is in shambles. And yeah, you know, when the Trump campaign asked voters if they were better now than they were 4 years ago, you know what they said? Were you better at the start of this year than you were 4 years ago? That's what they asked people. Not, are you doing better now than you were before? Were you doing better at the start of the year? I wonder why they did that. Sorry, Trump, you were president during 2020 as well.
Abject failure for Joe Biden over a half century's worth of time in elected office. I think that's pretty obvious.
But just so you guys know, anyone who actually repeats this talking point is a fucking moron or a grifter. The idea that like people use this against Bernie too. Like, Bernie, you've been in office for decades and you haven't changed the country yet? Well, he wasn't the fucking president. The point of being in office for a long time for a lot of people is to get a shot at the presidency where you can make real changes. That, like, this is just an idiotic perspective. You can make this case, like, in any, yeah. This is, by the way, impugning people for political experience, you know? You could turn this on to Trump, by the way. If you look at Trump's history with his businessman shenanigans, if you look at Trump's history as a person, you will find a fucking wasteland of failed businesses, failed marriages, of court cases, of shafted contractors, of raped children, of friendships with Epstein. If you look back through Trump's history, like, you find just a mountain of human failure that goes back pretty much since the day he was born. Just a cursed individual from the start. So because Joe Biden has been in office for decades now, doing at least not all of those things, this is somehow supposed to count against him.
virus hit
to a
this
much
nation
bigger
hard.
leadership role on the part of the president. But specifically, she said, and this is the verbatim, he has experienced, the president now, fighting the virus as an individual. Those firsthand experiences, Joe Biden, he doesn't have those, she said.
Dig it in.
The president,
he can't answer. He's like, oh, fuck, I actually have to defend this stupid ass fucking talking point, don't I?
Himself in the videos he released, being very transparent, letting the American people into his hospital room, in essence, even talked about the fact.
Except when his doctor was having a press briefing and he cited HIPAA as a reason why he couldn't tell you what the lowest oxygen level Trump had, what his lungs were like, or if there were any medical concerns. Very open and transparent, except he spin doctored everything he could and then HIPAA'd everything he couldn't lie about.
That he has learned so much about this virus, having now gone through it, sharing the experiences of so many people in this country now. He understands what the fights are that people have gone through. He understands now more about the medicine, more about the information, and that makes total sense. Anybody who experiences something directly has a different level of understanding about that experience. And so the president's no different. He literally stared down coronavirus. It looks like he's on
Stared down coronavirus. First of all, he's still positive. I like the past tense. I love the past tense, by the way. Yeah, dude, he dueled with coronavirus. You know what actually happened with Trump? They had to administer fucking oxygen while he was in the White House. He just got greasy and sweaty while sitting in the Oval Office until eventually he collapsed and they had to hike his ass out. They injected horse stimulants directly into his heart so he could get up and walk over to a helicopter. And then they had fucking Secret Service carry him on a palanquin over to a Walter Reed bed where he laid there drooling onto a pillowcase as doctors injected him with every fucking experimental steroid they could find in their fucking drawers. Okay, the idea that he like dueled coronavirus. Oh yeah, he 1v1 corona, bro. Yeah, he just needed, you know, the office of the presidency, an unbelievable amount of political knowledge, access to the world's greatest doctors and experimental medicines that other people can't get a hold of. But he 1v1 corona. You know, he dropped corona's ass in dust. Okay, he fucking 360 no scope opt him from the other side of the map.
On the back end of it, the two best words I've ever heard Doc Conley say, he's back. We're excited about that, and when he's well enough, he'll be out on the campaign.
Positive.
That is the case, that he fully recovers, although the doctors, upon releasing him, said he's not out of the woods yet. But Hogan, then I'll ask you, based on those firsthand experiences.
Actually, maybe it was literal. When he said he's back, he literally just meant he's back at the White House. Maybe I need to chill out a little bit. You know, he's back. To the White House. He's back in the White House. He moved from one building to another. He's back. Medically, he's a disaster. You know, medically, he's like those art pieces of like, you know, trepidatiously assembled pebbles and bits of trash that form like a cohesive image when viewed in shadow. But then you like touch it and it all falls apart.
What does it mean for the messaging on wearing masks, for example, and social distancing in a Rose Garden event? Do those change?
Listen, I am so angry at the way the media has covered this mask issue. Donald Trump was talking about masks on March 31st. April 3rd, he stood there in the briefing room with the CDC, and they issued the guidelines, which included wearing masks.
These people are such fucking weasels, dude. Trump would not wear a mask publicly. He talked about how it was fucking emasculating. He made fun of Biden for wearing masks 2 days before he tested positive for coronavirus. He made fun of Biden 2 days before he tested positive. He joked about it. At the fucking Rose Garden, you saw when Amy Coney Barrett was up there on stage and Trump was up there, and when the camera panned back, you could see all of the Republicans licking each other's hands with no masks on. They weren't even wearing masks as they licked the hands. They didn't even like shove the hands underneath the mask. They just licked each other's hands. These people are contemptuous. I've said this before. This is what I mean when I say, listen, the people who work at Fox News may be grifters. The actual Republican politicians are true believers, okay? These people worship the fucking church of Trump, okay? These people are deep into the fucking Kool-Aid, all right? Because if they weren't, people like McConnell and the Republican senators and all these higher ups in the RNC would be social distancing like motherfuckers. One of the things that like capitalist liberalism assumes, or I mixed that up, liberal capitalism assumes, is the idea of human beings who act in their own rational self-interest. Not perfectly, but when they have information, they try to use it to benefit themselves. And these are politicians with access to more information than we could ever dream of. And they're not wearing masks. They're not social distancing. They are cultists. It is a death cult, okay? They genuinely, truly do not believe in science. And for that reason, Corona keeps taking these people out.
The only thing the press was concerned about at the time was their au pairs and their vacations. They didn't care about wearing masks. In fact, it was a month and 3 days later before all of the press actually wore masks inside the briefing room. This president...
I don't know. I can't speak to the trend of the press. A little bit interesting that trying to deflect from the responsibility of the president of the United States, that he's talking about like journalists in the briefing room. I'm sure he's lying. I mean, he doesn't seem like a really bright or honest person, but I don't know the timeline on that.
Has led on the issue at every single turn, and right now is no different. He pulled out a mask at the debate and said, here, I have mine, I wear mine, we socially distance inside the White House.
Damn, dude. Well, first of all, we know you don't because we have videos of you not social distancing inside the White House. He made fun of Biden for wearing a mask at the debate, and it's not a fucking credit to him that in September of 2020 he has a mask at the debate. This is the lowest fucking bar imaginable.
Worked there for 3 years. We wore masks inside the White House. But the way the media tell it, it's as though they have been wearing masks the entire time. They have not.
I don't think that's it.
Hey, remember the term? Rather than making an argument, they vaguely gesture at imagined hypocrisy. Rather than talking about the president and the president's behavior, instead he's like, the media people, they weren't wearing it too. I know they're not elected officials. I know they're not the president, but they're... He's probably wrong, by the way. I'd be willing to bet that if I actually looked back in time, the media has been way more responsible because you have to be like kind of smart to be a journalist, generally speaking. Like it tends to exact some sort of toll from you intellectually. But like it's incredible how childlike they are, you know? They talk about rejecting the victim mentality of the Democrats, but what do these people do? Every time these people get in front of a camera, every conservative, every Republican, they just cry the whole time, every time. Have you ever watched a conservative speak for more than 30 consecutive seconds without them complaining that the world is being mean to them? Have you ever? I'm actually asking. Have you ever seen a conservative YouTube video that wasn't talking about how the world is so mean to white men? Have you ever seen a conservative TikTok that wasn't about how it's so hard being a conservative fucking middle schooler or whatever? Have you ever seen the president speak without bitching about how the media is mean to him? Have you ever seen a conservative open their mouth without crying? Are they even capable of other forms of communication? I sincerely doubt. I don't know. I don't think so. I'm guessing they don't. I genuinely don't think they can. I don't think they're capable of other forms of speech. It's maybe like a brain thing, you know? They say that the speech patterns we develop are encoded into a particular part of our brain. Maybe they have a dent in theirs that prevent them from expanding their options, their communicative options. I genuinely don't know. Thankfully, unlike most neurological problems, this issue can actually be solved by voting for Biden. Another thing, very low levels of melanin. If you're feeling too white, too pasty, all you got to do is vote for Biden. You turn black. So many solutions we have on offer. It's phenomenal. I'd love to go more over this fucking Fox News clip, but the debates are about to start. So anyway, listen, long story short, wah, baby, cry. Cry for mommy Melkies. No mommy Melkies. They stay mad. Okay. Nice.